One of the most underrated needs for the New York Jets this offseason, 2026 NFL draft, free agency, and everything alike, is the cornerback position. We're going to talk about some of the top corners in this draft, some sleepers, and people that could fit for the New York Jets. Boy Green Daily, an early edition, starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Dewey Mama.
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Good morning, everybody. I am Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. Good morning to the Coffee Club. Aunt Jets 82 in this morning. Sharon in this morning. Troy Sturgis, baby. People continue to fly on in. Appreciate that. Again, every Monday episode, we start 30 minutes earlier. If you're rewatching this show or listening to the audio-only version, then nothing I'm saying right now means anything to you whatsoever. But, however, I feel necessary to, pat myself on the back for getting up a little bit earlier in the morning. Thank you for everyone in the audience who cares. But with that being said, we're going to start doing some of these shows. In between all the mock draft action here on the show is breaking down some key positions that have a keen interest for the New York Jets. So with that being said, let's dive over to our special guest here every Monday. It is Drew Beatty at Iron City Film Baby. What's up, Drew? Good morning.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Paul? Good morning. Always glad to be here, before the sun, here talking some prospects.
Yeah, see, that's it. See, you deserve a tip of the cap, sir, for getting up early, too. What an absolute trooper.
Appreciate that.
So, with that being said, and yes, as Stack87 says, hit the like button. It's free, you animals. Make sure you guys do that on YouTube. It's a free way to contribute. I said it there in the cold open, and I'll tweet it out after the show. I believe cornerback is one of the most overlooked positions of need for the New York Jets. They've got, of course, Brandon Stephens, who it started off, when he got signed, a lot of Jet fans went, oh boy, this guy? And then it went poorly at the beginning of the season. We're like, another free agent bust. Classic story we've seen. And then all of a sudden, whoop, there was an uptick. So Brandon Stephens actually finished the year halfway decent. So nice. He's still under contract for a couple more years. So you have Brandon Stephens at one corner spot. You're intimately familiar, I know, with one of those other guys, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who a lot of Jet fans are high on. There's some beat reporters that think that he's not locked in to be the starting slot, that maybe some other moves can happen this offseason. So I guess we'll leave that up to interpretation. And then on the other side, I still remember it like it was yesterday when you joined our show for the post-draft episode, which I'm looking forward to, and not at the same time because I don't want to rush this process. But you came on and we're talking about Azareye'h Thomas being one of your favorite picks for the Jets in the third round. And he started on the bench, but eventually got into the starting lineup after the seismic Sauce Gardner trade. No pressure, buddy. Replaced Sauce. And so he got some important starting reps, but unfortunately ended the season hurt. So he's lightly penciled in, but we don't know if that's the guy. So the Jets have more cornerback needs and depth and love and everything to address here, Drew.
Right. I mean, I think the Jets are in a good spot here because for my, at least in corner, I should say, because for my money, I think corner is probably the strongest position group in this draft class, I would say. And the Jets are in a spot where, they probably need to add a guy at some point in here, but I don't think they are the Titans are a perfect example, where they are a team that is so desperate where you're going in and you have to add corner with a top 100 pick. It is penciled in. You cannot leave the top 100 without drafting a corner. But the Jets, you have three starting caliber corners. You can go in. You're not backed into a corner where you're saying, hey, I have to pick a corner or else my defense is going to suck. So I think they have a floor at the position. Now, certainly they could take a guy to raise that ceiling a little bit, but they're not so desperate. They have to reach on a guy, maybe. And like you said, I was very, very high on Azareye'h Thomas. He was a top 30 guy for me. He was one of my favorite picks of the whole draft last year. Jarvis Brownlee, obviously, like you said, intimately familiar. I watched him throughout all his time in Tennessee. He's an outstanding corner. I think he can play nickel or outside. So I think he should certainly be in the Jets' future plans. That trade is going to haunt me for a long time. And like you said, Brandon Stevens obviously finished the year stronger than he started it. So overall, I think you have a solid, stable floor at the position. But yeah, you probably need to add a guy because you've got some uncertainty in Thomas and some uncertainty in Brownlee. Just need probably more stability after trading Sauce. So I think if there's a year to add a guy, whether it's, day 2 or maybe even early day 3, I think you can find starters all the way through that deep in this class.
Yeah, I'll be curious again, we're going to go through some of the top corners here on the show in just a moment. But Daniel Jeremiah on the Move the Sticks podcast, him and Bucky Brooks, a couple of former NFL scouts that have been doing this a long time. It was a suggested YouTube thing, like, hey, you should watch this. And I'm like, all right. And they're talking about Jets needs and stuff. They're going through it. And I said, oh, some interesting information here. And then I came upon, and like I said, I'll end up tweeting out the clip after the show. But Daniel Jeremiah said, man, corner is obviously a need for the Jets based on his looking at the corner. So maybe, I'm not seeing it in the same way. And then he just said that they definitely have to use basically a top 44 pick. They have 4 picks. Their first 4 picks are all inside the top 44, the 2 in the first round, 2 in the second round. He believes one of those has to be used on a corner. So again, he may interpret some of these corners differently, and it's good to get a different perspective. So some of these names we're talking about the top board, maybe that could come into play at 16 for the Jets potentially. That could work its way to the mix. So let's do that here, Drew. Let's start off at the tippy top. It seems like, depending on who you talk to, there may be a different number 1 corner. I guess it depends how high we are on a certain situation with the player that unfortunately has not played in a while. So let's start off in LSU. Mansour Delane. He's a guy I commonly see mocked as the first corner off the board. What can you tell us about this guy? And is he the unequivocal cornerback 1 in this class, or are we about to talk about that answer to that question I just asked in a few minutes?
Yeah, he's not my corner 1. He's still in my top 5, but he's a little bit lower for me than most people. He has kind of emerged as the top consensus guy in this draft class. I think obviously transfer from Virginia Tech. He came in on most people's radar as more of a day 2, kind of early day 3 guy, and he got to LSU and just exploded from the jump. I mean, he straight from that Clemson game in week 1, he was on everybody's radar. And throughout the season, he's just been kind of the most high floor, stable guy in this whole class. Like, his tape has been just textbook, technical perfection throughout the entire year. You watch him, he is, probably the smartest corner in this whole class. I would say you see him, how fast the wheels turn in his head, and how fast he sees things develop in front of him. Probably the most mentally advanced corner. Got a good click and close. I mean, he, like, everything about him is quick. He's not going to have any issues translating to the NFL speed. Really, the only thing holding me back on him, because I don't have any gripes technically with his tape. The only issue that I have with Delane is just physical limitations. That's the biggest thing it boils down to with him, to me, because he is a little bit on the smaller side, under 6 foot, under 200 pounds. The arms are going to be, the combine is going to be interesting for him, because I think, while he has emerged as this consensus quarterback 1, I think teams are really going to kind of back off of him after the combine, because I would not be shocked if he comes in with under 31-inch arms, which is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. I don't think he's going to run all that well. I wouldn't call him slow, but I don't think he's got the kind of the bulletproof long speed or vertical speed that you need in a boundary guy. Like you saw when he played Texas A&M, LSU played them. A guy we've talked about a lot on the show so far, and KC Concepcion really tested him vertically, and I think that KC got the best of him in that way. So to me, when you have a guy that's short-armed, not the biggest frame, and just doesn't quite have that top gear that I want in a boundary corner, that's gonna take me off him a little bit. He's just outside of a first-round grade for me. But I do still really like Mansour Delane. I think that he is, like I said, just technical perfection. From a technique standpoint, there's not really much you need to improve there. It's just physical limitations with me, but definitely still a top guy in his class and deserves to go in the first round for sure.
All right, there you go on Mansour Delane. I'll have one follow-up, but just real quick, everybody. Again, we're going to be doing some of these episodes where it's positionally based. We're going to be talking a lot about cornerbacks today. We're going to go through some names of interest for the Jets that could be in the first round, second round, third round, and sleepers, and in the later rounds potentially. If you guys want to talk about something that's not cornerback, I suggest sending it in as a super chat at some point during the show today, and we'll work that into the conversation. Maybe you have an edge rusher question. Maybe you have a quarterback question. Maybe you have a wide receiver question, and it's just on a draft thing that happened semi-recently, and you want that to be addressed. Send that in super chat form, and we'll circle back to those during the conversation. So that would be my suggestion to those out in the audience if you have non-cornerback questions. So feel free to take full advantage. I already got one from MFC in our Discord that I got to circle back to an Arvel Reese. So I will get that to Drew here before the end of the show for certain. Real quick on Mansour Delane, you said that you think he and now I'm going to misrepresent what you said, but something to the effect of like a higher floor. Is that what you said? Or
yeah, he's probably the guy that I would feel most comfortable like coming in and just being a good NFL player.
And why is that? Yeah,
just because I think like there's really no like I think he's so mentally advanced. Like I said, I think he's going to have no issues translating. You played in the SEC, and you can just see how fast things register with him mentally.
Yeah,
he's not one of these guys that is going to struggle to play at a higher speed. And I said mentally because I don't think he's necessarily the fastest guy vertically in the world. But I just think like he's so solid technically and so advanced mentally that he's going to be able to come in and just be a day one starting corner. But I'm not sure he has the highest ceiling in this class.
All right, now let's talk about the other guy that I sort of flirted around with, Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. Please tell us his story about his injury and why there may be some teams that are a little trippy on it, and the pre-draft process of what he's going to be allowed to do. I know the combine list is out, but I've not combed over it. So I don't know who is invited and who's not beyond maybe some of the top names. So what will, if you know this information, what will he be allowed to do during the pre-draft process? Talk about the injury, talk about how you view him, and perhaps how the injury affects his draft stock here.
Yeah, Jermod McCoy is a really interesting case this year. Because of the overall talent level in this draft class, and how you slot in a guy who didn't play at all in 2025. But I mean, to me, the 2024 tape with Jermod McCoy was unequivocally top 10 level. Like it was. I think if Jermod McCoy had played in 2025, there's a case we're talking about him as the best football player in this draft class.
Wow.
And he's a top 10 player for me right on my board right now. He's my cornerback one. I think Jermod McCoy is outstanding. From what I have heard, just from a couple of different places, obviously, nothing I say is concrete. I'm not an insider, but I do, hear things from time to time. Jermod McCoy was, from what I know, was probably good to go within the first 4 to 5 weeks of the college season. And with where they were in the season, both parties in Jermod McCoy and Tennessee just decided to shut it down. So he's been good to go for a couple of calendar months at this point. He tore his ACL after the playoff game against Ohio State at the beginning of last year. So, I mean, the ACL tear is over a calendar year ago at this point. And like with modern medicine, ACL tears are just not what they used to be when it goes to long-term impacts. So guys come back just as good, if not stronger, than they were pre-ACL. So at this point, I don't think the injury is really a factor other than, again, not having any tape in 2025. But I think the 2024 film was just so strong that he deserves to be comfortably cornerback one in this class. I wish we could have seen him in Mobile because the Senior Bowl. I think that would have done him a lot of good just to get scouts to have eyes on him again, play football. But I just think that honestly, his feedback from scouts has been so good that he didn't really need to. And I imagine we'll see him run everything at the combine just because he's been healthy for I don't know for sure, but I just imagine that he's been healthy for months at this point. So I don't see any reason he wouldn't do the entire combine drill slate. So I think it'll be good to see us get to see McCoy move at least a little bit for the first time since January of last year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think he's got the full skill set you want in a modern NFL corner. He's got the prototypical frame. He's long. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. Probably has the best mirror skills of anybody in man coverage in this class. I think he is, a top, I wouldn't say top end athlete, but very much a plus athlete. Not somebody I'm worried about being limited at the next level. Comfortable with the line of scrimmage. He's got a varied press attack at the line of scrimmage. He's got strong hands. Good ball skills. square base. He's got good eye discipline, doesn't fall for eye candy at the line of scrimmage. Incredibly well-rounded man coverage corner in the modern NFL game. And I think he's probably more comfortable in man than zone, but he can survive in both. There's just really no part of his game that I'm not comfortable with.
How much will the injury affect his draft stock, do you think? Where do you think he goes in the first round?
I would probably guess he goes in like the early teens-ish. Like I think the Dolphins or the Rams with their first picks are like two of the premier spots he could land because they're both quarterback needy teams, both there right outside the top 10. But really, I think I'd be surprised if he falls into the 20s at this point.
Yeah, because that was going to be my question. We always talk about ceiling, and then what's the floor? How far realistically could he fall?
I mean, if he falls past the run of teams that are like corner needy in that top 15-ish that I was talking about, I mean, there's always possibility that maybe some teams are more concerned with the need than others, and he could slide all the way to the back into the first. But at this point, I'd just be too shocked to see a player of his caliber, even with the injury, fall out of the first. I just don't think it could happen.
Could he go top 10?
Absolutely. I mean, I would not have any problem. I've mentioned him at 4 to the Titans before in this draft cycle. That hasn't been received very nice for most things I've said that in, but I think it should certainly be in the realm of possibility. And like I said, I think he's 8th on my board right now. So I think he's certainly worthy of a top 5, top 10 pick in this draft class.
All right, let's keep going here. Let's talk about how many other corners could go in the first round beyond the two we've talked about, McCoy and Delane.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see 5 go in the first round this year.
5, okay. Well, let's go through them.
It's an incredibly strong. It's a deep and strong at the top position group this year, and teams always need corners. I just think it's a strong year.
Okay, let's go. We'll go out of order here. Jamad McCoy's teammate. Could we see two Tennessee, the entire Tennessee starting quarterback room go in the first round in April?
Yeah, the other guy, Colton Hood, for Tennessee, who really emerged as a Colorado transfer this year in the absence of Jamad McCoy, which is such a shame because if we'd gotten to see that duo in college of Jamad McCoy and Colton Hood, 2 lockdown first-round NFL corners, that would have been really, really fun. And unfortunately, we never got to see them on the field together. But Colton Hood very much fits the same mold as McCoy, where they're both these long, athletic, physical man coverage corners. I think Colton Hood's more of your kind of like jab and press guy. Like he's a lot more aggressive than McCoy is at the line of scrimmage. He's going to try to put a hole through you at the line of scrimmage. He's got really fast feet, really aggressive at the catch point, just incredibly disruptive. He's just annoying. Like he's the really annoying coverage corner that you hate to see on the boundary in man coverage because he's always glued to your hip pocket. He's always got his hand in your face. He's never going to let you get a clean release. So yeah, I think he's going to be another guy that really succeeds in Indianapolis later this month. He's going to run really quick. I think he's probably a low 4.4s guy, maybe even high 4.3s. He's got long arms. I think he's going to come in with a big frame, 6'2", 205, somewhere around there, 210. I think at this point, Colton Hood, you still see him falling into like the second round, the 40s, the 50s in some mock drafts. I think that's kind of crazy. I think he's a top 20, top 25 lock at this point. And I'd be surprised to see him fall out of the first. Like I think his absolute floor would be Seattle at 32. I don't think there's any chance that if he's there, Seattle doesn't pull that trigger.
So to put it in a way, you would be willing to, as close to it, guarantee that both of these Tennessee corners are going in the first round.
I'd be extremely surprised if they weren't. Yeah, if they weren't both first round picks.
All right, that's a good way to put it. Again, we're speaking with our NFL draft analyst, Drew Beatty, baby. You can follow him at Iron City Film. I sure do. It's an easy follow. All kinds of great nuggets and draft information you can find there. I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. Guys, make sure you guys like the video. That's a free way to contribute. Also, hit that subscribe button. We have raffle tickets for our latest prizes. So if you guys would like to gift memberships and spread the love, feel free to do so. That's a money sign on YouTube. Feel free to hit that. And gift channel membership, super stickers, or super chat questions in for Drew Beatty. Take advantage of his time here on the program for sure. Let's go with the Clemson corner next here, Drew Beatty.
Yeah, Avion Terrell, actually the brother of AJ Terrell, Falcons corner. Okay. And yeah, Avion Terrell has been a guy that he was the name we talked about the most next to Jamad McCoy coming into the year. And he was one of the only players on the Clemson team that didn't have a massive fall off this year. He's one of the only that actually met expectations this year. I think he and his South Carolina rival are the two on this list that I'm probably least confident about going in the first round. I think they're the two biggest toss-ups. Terrell, I think he very well could go in the top 20. Like the Vikings at 18, I think they are. Has been a really commonly mocked spot for Terrell, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I think Terrell is somebody that can play both on the boundary and in the slot. I have him more as a nickel because I'm a little bit worried about the size, only being 5'11", 5'10", 180. So he's a little bit on the smaller side, but he plays, so much bigger than he is. He is like the definition of just that small, feisty corner. Like he is an elite run defender, incredible blitzer. Behind the line of scrimmage, he was dominant in that role at Clemson, consistently rushing the passer and being successful at it. I think he is, sticky in man coverage. Not the most physical guy at the line of scrimmage, but he's going to stay glued to you. I think he's really impressive in zone. Good eyes, good instincts. He's got a good click and close. So he's a guy that I like. He's very versatile. Can play in really any scheme. And again, like I said, I think with his run defense skill set and his size limitations, I think he fits much more as a nickel. But I don't think he's a guy that's limited to just the slot. I think he can play both.
Okay, and then let's go. You said you could see 5 corners being drafted in the first round. What's the one we haven't talked about yet?
Let's see. South Carolina's Brandon Sisse would be the one guy left. Yeah, sorry, I got mixed up. I got my too many corners on my mind. South Carolina, the other guy I hinted to, beyond Davion Terrell is Brandon Sisse was kind of a late guy to emerge because he hadn't played a lot before this year. And he popped up kind of early being on, I think it was Dane Brugler, in his top 50. He showed up in the top 30, really before anybody had heard of him. And Sisse really emerged this year, playing kind of a full-time snap count for the first time. And he is somebody that really just came on the scene as another really aggressive physical man coverage corner. Those were all over the SEC this year. Those are my kind of corners, so I'm always going to fall for those guys. I have a first-round grade on Brandon Sisse. I think he is an outstanding corner. Really big, 6'2", 210. Just another one of those guys that fits that prototypical mold, size-wise, that the NFL is looking for now. Another really aggressive at the catch point, really disruptive, long arms. I think he's a guy that can really win or lose at the combine. I think depending, I think this is kind of redundant because what you see on tape is the kind of athlete they are. I'm somebody that preaches that a lot. You shouldn't let the combine sway you one way or another on if a guy's a good athlete or not. If they're a good athlete, it'll show on tape, and I think it does for Brandon Sisse. But I think there's a chance, if he runs in the 4.5s, you probably see him slip out of the round one talks. But if he runs in the 4.4s, I think he really solidifies himself. In the first round right there. I think he does. The biggest problem with him is he's got some hip stiffness that I think you really saw, which can be kind of a pretty big red flag in corners. You really need your corners to be fluid, easy moving athletes to transition from the line of scrimmage. And I think you saw him get kind of stiff, especially against comebacks and stop routes sometimes. But some of the more fluidity based drills will be interesting to see him in at the combine. But overall, I don't really have questions past the stiffness about his tape. He just has such a natural feel for man coverage. Some of these guys, you can just tell they're just genetically built to play man. And Sisse just has the feel for it. Always in the hip pocket, always disruptive at the catch point. Comfortable with the line of scrimmage, doesn't fall for eye candy. Got to keep a square base, strong hips, easy transition. Again, past the stiffness, which I think is something that he can work through at the next level. I don't have many questions about Sisse either. I think he should also be a first-round pick in this class.
All right, let's work some NFL Combine in here because you mentioned it a few times of how that could affect certain draft stock depending on results of certain drills. I think that's important to bring up because some people just call it the Underwear Olympics and they say there's no value to this. It's just nonsense. We just all dress it up to be something it's not. You mentioned several instances where it's more important than it is. Not that it's more important than it is. That here are important things that you can draw from it that could affect immediately draft stock. Drew, as someone that watches tape and studies these prospects and things of this nature, what are you looking to get out of the combine? We can say in a general sense, and then also work it back to corners here as we're talking about this. And what do you want to see from certain guys? What are you looking for?
I mean, to me personally, the biggest thing from the
Yeah.
combine is just getting actual official measurements for once, because that's such a cloudy thing throughout the whole process that you hear different things about different prospects all throughout, and it's just nice to finally get it nailed down. You know, how long a guy's arms are, how what he's weighing in at, how tall is he. That's the biggest thing for me. As far as the actual athletic testing, I'm somebody that's more conservative on that, where I just think that I trust my eyes and what I see on tape. If a guy moves well on tape but doesn't perform well at the combine, I'm probably going to lean more to trusting the tape rather than how he runs in tights in Indianapolis. I think the NFL is kind of on the complete other end of that, where I mean the combine is vital. Like if we saw like Trevon Walker a couple of years ago shoot all the way from mid first round pick to first overall pick because he had a great combine, and that's just going to be like David Bailey. I talked about it on here a couple of weeks where I think you're going to see Texas Tech edge rusher David Bailey come in and measure in at 35-inch arms and run a 4.4, and that's going to shoot him up to a top 3 pick. And I think like the NFL just puts so much stock in what these guys run at this point that it can massively sway how the draft goes.
What do you think is the most overrated thing that people talk about on TV about the combine, but it really doesn't mean anything?
I mean,
from
it's
the
cliche,
combine
but
perspective, combine just obviously in the same combine world that there's going to be a talking point from the combine that has people going nuts, and you're like sitting over there like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it's cliche, but it's probably the 40. Not to say that it doesn't matter, because it does. I mean, it's indicative of some stuff. But at the end of the day, I think people put too much weight in it, and I think you see really, really good prospects with high quality tape fall a lot further than they should because maybe they didn't run as well, because ultimately that's a sprinter's exercise. It's not a football drill. And I think that it can be extremely misleading at times. And it's just turned into kind of the ultimate event of the NFL combine. And I think that it can lie.
Okay. Well, again, I love watching the 40-yard dashes. It's always a sexy.
It's certainly fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and comps and the NFL Network and Rich Eisen and Daniel Jeremiah, they do a really wonderful job with it. It's always cool to see like Chris Johnson running the 40 versus Xavier Worthy versus this guy, or when they do the Rich Eisen one where they give him like a 10, it's not 10 seconds, but whatever it is, a 3 or 4 second head start, and then all the guys, the like ghost images just going running past them. Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. Love the NFL Network coverage of that event. So we talked about a lot of the first round corners, which again, in case you guys missed it, if you didn't see it on the Move the Sticks podcast this week, Daniel Jeremiah thinks that the Jets should absolutely use one of their first 4 picks, which of course are all inside the top 50, on a corner. So I'm seeing some people are sort of debating that in the comment section. So we wanted to make sure we talk about some of those first round corners just in case the Jets decide to pull the trigger at 16. But they do have 2 picks on day 2 here, Drew Beatty. They have 33, the first pick of the second round, and 44 also there in the second round that they got from the Dallas Cowboys here. Let's talk about some potential day 2 corners. Hey, I just brought him up. Chris Johnson. Any relation?
Yep. Not to my knowledge. But yeah, there is another Chris Johnson in this class, and he is from San Diego State.
Okay.
He has been somebody that, again, really emerged this year. He was, you'd heard his name flip around in the summer, but he really solidified himself as a top 50, top 75 guy this year. Another just big athletic corner. Another guy that's going to, I think, make himself a lot of money in Indianapolis. Now, I think he's 6'1", a little over 200 pounds. So somebody, again, I sound like a broken record, but just a lot of guys this year fit that size mold that the NFL is going for, kind of that new revolution of over 6 foot, over 200 pounds, long arm corners. There's a reason. I mean, size is very, very important at this position. And I think Chris Johnson fits that mold. I think he has got some of the best recovery speed in this whole class. And I think that's really where you see stuff translate, is recovery speed directly translates to the 40 time. That's something that's been as consistent as anything going into the combine to me. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Chris Johnson running the high 4.3s. And I think that Chris Johnson, he didn't have the Senior Bowl that you'd really want him to. When you have these smaller school players, the Senior Bowl is huge for their draft stock. And Chris Johnson kind of came in and really was one of the biggest losers of the week in Mobile. So that was disappointing to not see really the week we wanted from him. I think he really could have bumped himself into the first round conversation with a good week in Mobile, but I think he's probably more of a solidified second round guy at this point. but still, I mean, the combine can really remedy any bad weeks prior in the pre-draft process. And I think Chris Johnson is somebody that's plenty athletic enough to have a really good week in Indy. Disruptive at the catch point. He's not a guy we really ever saw in press coverage, so that's probably another concern you have. But if you're more of a zone heavy scheme, I think he fits immediately. He played a lot of cover 3 in college. Really fluid hips and just somebody that's got great instincts in zone.
We mentioned and how you sent it to me is a bunch of the names that we wanted to talk about, so I can sort of help us be the point guard of sifting us through. And this chunk of players to talk about right now with Chris Johnson and others we're about to talk about are labeled day 2. Day 2 is the second or third round for those that are less initiated. So that's a lot of range. That could be all the way from pick 33 right to borderline 100. So my question is on Chris Johnson, what's his draft stock specifically in your mind pre-combine?
I think he's floating probably right around that early to mid second round. I think it's more likely than not that you see him go in the top 50. Maybe he could slip out of that and go in the 60s range. But I'd be surprised if you see him fall into the third for sure. I think he's definitively a second round guy.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure we get him in there too. All right, let's go to another one here. Keith Abney. Can we work some of him in?
Yeah, Keith Abney from Arizona State has been a name that's been really popular all throughout this year. I've seen him in the back end of the first round, even at times. And Keith Abney's probably the first guy on this list that I am definitively lower on consensus than. He is firmly in the day 3 spot on my board. Somebody that I can't quite get with in the top 100, and it's just a mixture of him being small and slow, and that just doesn't really work in the NFL at any position, but especially not corner. He's more of a guy. I think he's listed at 5'10", looks a lot closer to 5'9". To me on tape, I think that'll be, again, it's important to get official measurements. But I imagine the height and length measurements are not going to be kind to Keith Abney. Short arms, smaller frame. I don't think he's going to run very well. I think he's more of a mid to high 4.5s guy. And I just so I think when you have the athletic limitations that he does, I think you want to fit more as a nickel because it really helps remedy some of the vertical issues in corners. If you just stick him in the slot, but you really run defense is such a vital part of being a nickel at the NFL level. And I think that Keith Abney is somebody that just he's shown complete disinterest in run defense. He's not somebody that wants to stick in and stick his nose in and get his hands dirty. And even if he did want to, I'm not sure he's physical enough to survive at the NFL level. So he's a guy that I really wonder about what position he finds himself at the NFL level, because I'm not sure that he's big or fast enough to play on the outside, but I'm not sure he's physical enough to play in the slot. So I think he's just somebody that's going to struggle to find a home. Maybe you could play him more in a safety role if you wanted to transition him there. That's probably what I would do if I was going to draft Keith Abney. Again, he's a great zone corner, got great instincts, great eyes, really fast, quick, and close. I think he's plays bigger than he is at the catch point. He's very compact. I think he's very aggressive at the catch point for his size. But to me, I really worry about his ability to survive in man coverage with his lack of recovery speed and lack of vertical speed, and just mix that with the frame limitations. And I have a hard time seeing top 100 talk for Keith Abney.
So with that being, you answered it a little bit there on the back end, despite your criticisms, talk about a few positives from him, but you still think he's going to be a day 2 pick.
For sure. I think he's probably another guy that you see go in that Chris Johnson range where he's more of I'd be surprised if he falls out of the second, maybe early third for Keith Abney. But yeah, I think he's at worst a mid day 2 guy.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's get another guy in your day 2 range here. What about Julian Neal out of Arkansas?
Yeah, Julian Neal is kind of the opposite of Keith Abney, and it's somebody that I'm a lot higher on the consensus right now. I think he's still floating around late 3rd, early 4th round on the consensus board. He's somebody that I have early to mid 2nd round. He is, again, my type of corner, very big, physical man coverage corner. Again, 6'1", over 200 pounds. I feel like I say it for 75% of the guys on this list today. But he fits that same mold. Long arms, and probably the best press corner that I've watched in this class. I mean, he is an absolute roadblock at the line of scrimmage. Nobody is ever going to get a free release on this guy. He's never going to give you anything easy. Really strong, just shotgun arms at the line of scrimmage. He's going to put a hole through you. Physical with the all that same physicality at the catch point. Very, very strong, very disruptive. I think that he's going to run okay. He's not a top end out of this world athlete. I don't think it's bad enough where you need to kick him to the slot. But you saw him lose over the top a handful of times at Arkansas. So I think the 40 is going to be important for him. I think he's probably more of a mid 4.5s guy, but if you can bump that up to like a late 4.4s, you'd probably see him go a lot earlier than people think on day 2. But yeah, Julian Neal was one of the more kind of sleeper guys of this class to me right now, because he's still being talked about as a late day 2, potentially early day 3 kind of guy. But I think he deserves to be, firmly a top 50, top 75 pick.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's go with one last name, and then we'll finish it up with some sleepers. And like I said, we'll get into some other positions of questions that are coming up here. What about Will Lee, Texas A&M and Aggie?
Yeah, he's another guy that came in probably higher than this in the summer, and just kind of I didn't really feel like he had a down year. Just like the rest of the corner class was so good that it bumped him down a little bit. Another guy kind of in the same range as Julian Neal, late day 2, early day 3. And in the same mold. I think he's 6'2", going to come in with long arms. And I mean, he plays like he's like a junkyard dog, with rabies. Like he's just always insanely aggressive. He's coming in like every rep is a street fight, and he's just trying to drag you down with him. Not the most athletic in the world. You're going to see him lose vertically time to time. A little bit more stiff than I'd like him to be, but just super aggressive all the time. One of the more aggressive as far as mentality goes players in this whole class. And there is 1 or 2 reps where he's just slinging a receiver all over downfield. You're just he's looking for, you can tell he's always hunting for that one rep where he's on the backside of a concept and he can get away with it, where he can just put a receiver in the dirt when nobody's looking. And just an incredibly aggressive corner. I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of teams fall in love with that mentality. The athleticism might keep him out of the top 75, top 50 range, but still a very aggressive physical man coverage corner that I like a lot.
All right. Again, like I said, there seems to be a lot of debate in the chat right now whether or not the Jets should take a corner at all in some cases. And some people believe, I see throw up a random comment here. Alon says Jets shouldn't sniff a cornerback before round 5. So some people are feeling differently about it. We talked about some of the top names in this draft. Let's talk about some sleepers potentially. If the Jets decided to, wait at a certain point and maybe the right name pops up at the right spot. What about Devin Moore out of Florida?
Yeah, Devin Moore is another guy that really emerged this year. Nobody really was saying the name before this season. And he's still early day 3 on the consensus board, and he is, comfortably a top 50, closer to a top 30 guy for me. And if I had to pick somebody on this list to be the biggest combine riser, I think it's going to be Devin Moore. He dealt with a lot of injuries, but I think he's finally healthy this year, or coming up on Indianapolis. And he might be the fastest player in this corner class, if I had to guess, just in a straight line. Probably going to be like mid to low 4.3s if I had to guess on it now. Also, probably the biggest frame in this class, 6'3", 200 pounds. I mean, he is
nice, massive
frame, probably the most athletic corner that I've watched so far. So, I mean, he's a potential, borderline 10.0 RAS, if you keep up with RAS scores, candidate. I mean, this guy is huge frame, insanely fast in a straight line, very fluid. My only concerns with Moore, really as a prospect, are more with Florida's defense than they are with him. Where just Florida's defense played solely zone coverage. And I think man coverage is really where you get to see a lot of the traits in a corner. It's hard to see some stuff in zone. You really want to see them in just isolated man coverage to really glean some of the traits from that. And you just never got to see that from Devin Moore. He was always playing zone coverage. So there's a little bit of projection involved with him, just where you didn't see him get targeted a lot. You didn't get to see him in a translatable NFL role. But again, I mean, 6'3", 200 pounds, and that kind of straight line speed and fluidity, that doesn't fall very far in the NFL most times. So I think we're talking about him in day 3 right now. Wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 50 guy after Indianapolis.
Oh, interesting. Again, how the combine can raise stocks and lower stocks. Again, our next mock draft here on the channel will be a post-combine mock draft. So, Drew, get yourself mentally prepared for that once we approach it. You may need all the time to be able to do that. Let's get one more sleeper in. Let's get an Arizona corner in the mix here, and then we'll expand out our conversation. Give me some sleeper Arizona corner action, Drew Beatty.
Yeah, this guy might be my biggest sleeper of the whole class. At least I can say
Wow.
that for another week or two.
I
Because
guess
I think
that's
he's
true,
another
right?
guy that's really going to be, in firmly in the top 50, top 75 conversation after the combine. And that is Treaden Stukes, the defensive back out of Arizona. And I say defensive back because he played really every position for them. Played a
Mhm.
very small amount of boundary corner, played mostly nickel, played a lot of safety for them too. So I don't think there's a position in the secondary that Stukes can't play. Um, but being 6'2", 215 pounds, 210 pounds, another guy with just blazing recovery speed. You saw him get stacked more than I'd like for a guy that at the line of scrimmage. Um, but it ultimately just never really mattered because regardless of how soon a guy got on top of him at the line of scrimmage, he was always catching up because he's just that caliber of athlete. Um, Wide receiver level ball skills, like some of the best ball skills in this class to me. And just like really long arms, prototypical frame, strong, just sticky man coverage, always glued to the hip pocket. The one thing with him is we just never really get to see him play press. That's an issue with a lot of these guys in these college defensive systems. And like I said, he primarily played safety and nickel, but I don't see a reason on his profile why he couldn't project as a boundary corner if you wanted him to. I think he's another guy like Avion Terrell that could work in the slot or on the boundary.
Mhm.
I would probably try him at boundary before I penciled him in as a slot guy because he can play slot. He's aggressive in run defense too. Another thing I didn't talk about. Always eager to attack the run. He can sniff out screens. Super physical. So I think he is again prototypical NFL nickel corner in modern defenses. But I'd give him a shot at boundary corner with his profile before you make him a nickel. But I think he can really succeed at both.
Well, I just have to say this. Thank you, Professor Drew Beatty, for taking us through this cornerback lesson. This has been a lot of fun to gather and gain knowledge of these names. It gives me names when I'm watching the combine because I will be absolutely glued to the coverage. I love watching the combine. I love Jeremiah and Rich Eisen going through it. I love that we're getting the GMs and head coaches sort of filing through the room, so to speak, the booth, the box, the press box, whatever, and hearing those conversations. Man, it's just incredibly fascinating to me. And again, as they're going through, they're just sort of herding sheep. All right, Arizona corner, the LSU corner, Texas A&M corner, and I'm just seeing them lined up for the 40. Boom, 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 boom. And it goes, ooh, that's the guy Drew Beatty talked about. Ooh, that's the guy. So now you're giving me some good names here, which I appreciate. All right, we have Drew for a few more. We have Drew for a few more minutes, folks. I have a question from the Discord from MFC that I want to throw at Drew. But if you guys have other questions, or corner questions, we have corner questions. But now is the time to send them in. We have Drew for a few more minutes, so fire those questions away if you have any draft questions for Drew Beatty, and we'll get to as many of those as possible here on the show before we sign off with Drew. Okay, this was from MFC. Mother effing chew. You had this question in the Discord, and I wanted to throw it to you and get your thoughts on it because he has questions about Arvell Reese, who appears to be the most popular pick for the New York Jets at number 2 overall. I'm seeing it in all the mock draft shows. MFC says this, quote, so Arvell Reese played edge full-time last year and got 6.5 sacks in college, and we're going to take him at 2? Will McDonald had 11.5 sacks in his junior year as a full-time edge, 5 in his senior year lined up on the inside as a defensive tackle. Reese is not number 2 worthy. His metrics, weight, height, athleticism are all very close to Will McDonald. Why draft another undersized speed edge when the Jets already have 2 of those? What is your response, Drew Beatty?
Yeah, I mean, I'd really end up on the complete opposite spectrum of that. I don't think profile wise that him and Will McDonald, they couldn't be any more different. I would not label Arvell Reese as a speed rusher at all. I think even at 245 pounds, he's kind of a pure power rusher. And he's got some staggering power for 245 pounds. The disproportionate level of pop that he can deal is kind of crazy. And he actually didn't play full-time edge rusher and only get 6.5 sacks. In fact, he actually played basically full-time linebacker for Ohio State. He probably had, I think, 60 or 70 true pass rush snaps throughout the entire year. So if you look at that, that's probably 10% of plays. At 10% of his pass rush snaps, he ended up with a sack, which, you project that at the NFL level, that's astounding. So there's a lot of context. There's context involved with using statistics and analytics to evaluate any player, but especially when it comes to Arvell Reese. So I would suggest, digging a little bit deeper than the stats, watch him a little bit on tape. And like I said, I think he's very, very, very different player than Will McDonald coming out. I think he's a much more fleshed out run defender, much more powerful pass rusher, and somebody who really was never given a shot to play full-time edge quite yet. And even on very limited pass rush snaps was a very productive pass rusher to me.
Okay, good. And thank you, MFC, for that comment question. Appreciate those coming in. This is something that I heard from Field Yates. He was doing an appearance at ESPN, NFL draft expert, analyst, everything else. He was on the Rich Eisen show, and he said basically that he believes the Jets' number 2 overall pick is down to 2 players. You know, anything could happen, I guess, but at this moment in time, in the middle of February, it's down to 2 players. It's going to be Arvell Reese or David Bailey. Do you agree with that?
I do. I would be kind of surprised to see it be anybody outside of those. Okay. I think that those 2 have kind of emerged, and I think that's only going to get solidified after the combine, because I think as far as this edge class goes, Arvell Reese and David Bailey are comfortably the 2 best athletes in this class, and they are going to test out of this world. And like I said, I think the NFL values that more than just about anything else. So after Indianapolis, I think that it's going to be pretty much it's going to be talked about as solely between David Bailey and Reese. And I think that, I would firmly go Arvell Reese if we're judging between those 2. But yeah, I think those are going to be the 2 guys that New York's talking about for the next, 2 months.
Another name here that, I was all over during the national championship and seeing all the splash plays, but now I'm hearing him a lot less, and I'm seeing him fall all the time now. Mox, I've seen him fall to 10, 11. He's Ruben Bain. I thought he was, was a big 3, but all of a sudden I'm not seeing him nearly as often anymore at number 2 overall. What the hell happened to Ruben Bain?
I think people are honestly just forgetting what the tape looked like, which is kind of crazy after somebody who had the college football playoff run that he did. Ruben Bain is still my top overall player in this class. He is my first overall player on my board.
Okay.
I think Ruben Bain is the best player in this draft class. He would be my pick if I was the Jets. But I understand the arm length is really going to hurt him too. I think you're going to see him measuring at the combine later. You're going to see him measuring the short arms. People are going to really, really worry about that. And I think when you turn on the tape, you just see the power that he has, and it really doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, I would still be surprised to see him fall out of the top 5, maybe 6 or 7, in the top 10. But I don't think falling out of the top 10 is a possibility for Bain. I think that people have taken that too far. And even after the combine, you're going to hear the arm length talk. He's still a top 5, top 6-ish pick in this class. I would hope that he doesn't fall past 4 with my Titans. But yeah, I mean, to me, he's still the best player in this draft class. And regardless of the measurement talks with his arm length, I think he deserves that spot.
All right, because you brought up Titans, we'll go rapid fire to finish off. Yesterday on the show, we talked about the possibility of the Jets and Titans striking up a trade, sending T'Vondre Sweat to the Jets because of the new scheme with Robert Saleh coming in versus what the Jets could be running. There's a lot of rumors they could be going back to a 3-4, and maybe the Jets can send back Saleh, one of his guys, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Jamin Sherwood perhaps, and work out something else there. What do you think the possibilities are that the Titans trade T'Vondre Sweat this offseason?
I think that if anyone on the Titans roster is to be traded this offseason, that Sweat is the most likely. They have been kind of fed up with his personality and attitude in the building for a while now. So I know he's been kind of on a short leash. You compound that with coming in with a new regime, a new head coach, doesn't really fit the scheme. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him shipped off in a draft trade. I don't think they're like actively shopping him and itching to get rid of him. But I think if New York was calling for a gap plugging nose tackle, and they offered something, Tennessee, their ears are wide open for any and all offers. So I think it is firmly in the realm of possibility that Sweat is dealt, and I think the Jets are one of the more likely landing spots.
What is the ROI there? He was a former top 50 pick just 2 years ago. What would be the return for the Titans, do you think?
Like I said, I think it's hard to do project player for player trades because they're so rare in modern NFL. Right. I think it makes a lot of sense for it to be, a Jermaine Johnson or a Will McDonald swap. It makes sense for both sides to me. But if I had to project him as like an actual value as far as draft capital goes, yeah. I think he probably fetches a early day 3 pick at this point, maybe a late day 2 if Tennessee's willing to throw in a sweetener at some point. But yeah, I think he's probably more of like an early 4th round pick. Somewhere in there.
All right, fair enough. Well, Drew, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the show. I get smarter every time, and boy, do I need that. So, thank you very much for
Thank you.
that. And I'm looking forward to doing a few more of these positional breakdowns, some mock drafts mixed in, your draft report card review after the Jets draft. We really appreciate the time you give us every week, buddy.
Yep, me too. Always a pleasure. Thanks, Paul.
All right, there he is, Drew Beatty, baby, joining us here on the program. Again, every Monday show for the next couple of months, folks, is going to have Drew Beatty here at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. We will do several positions. We're talking about that off air of positional shows that we will do that are important needs for the Jets. Talk about some of the top players at the position, talk about some guys on day two, some sleeper prospects, and we'll get into those. And like I said, we'll always take your draft questions beyond that or get sent in, whether that is on Discord. If you're a Boy Green Coffee Club member, make sure you guys take advantage of that, or live here on the show. With super chats, questions, and things of that nature. We're going to open up the phone lines. I'm going to play a quick Hep timeout, and you guys will be able to call into the show. Thank you to the over 100 people that are in the room right now. Thank you very much. By the way, real quick, let's throw up our raffle prizes for this month, baby. Oh, yeah. Every time you guys spend $3 on the channel, you have a chance to win these fabulous prizes. We have a Darrelle Revis jersey. We have a pair of Jets shorts. We have Boy Green Woody tailgate t-shirt and a Jets hat from my personal collection. I don't do that often. And throwing that into the raffle mix as well. So again, we'll be giving away all of these prizes on March 1st. If you want to be eligible, all you have to do is spend $3 on the channel at any point this month. At any point, you get, of course, the rev of using a super chat or super sticker or gifting a channel membership, whichever you choose to do at the audience, and also a chance to win prizes. So it's a pretty cool, sweet thing here on the channel. Again, if you want to do that, hit the money sign on YouTube. There's all these options that pop up: super stickers, super chats, gift channel memberships, or you become a Boy Green Coffee Club member yourself. And speaking of plugs, we might as well work this in at the same time, baby. There are 2 YouTube membership levels to this channel. If you are a fan of me or a fan of the show and you want to support, there's 2 levels, baby. The Boy Green Coffee Club, that's $2.99 a month, or the Boy Green Espresso Club, that's $5.99 a month, baby. A double espresso shot there. For the Boy Green Coffee Club, when you guys become a member, you get a loyalty badge next to your name, and your name changes to green, so it stands out from the rest of the chat. It's easy to recognize your loyalty. You get access to our custom emojis. Only you guys get to use these in the chat. Thanks to Jets Worldwide, our friends Snowball and Johnny Boy. Snowball creates all the custom emojis for the channel. Get early access to new videos, folks. We're going to have some big-time guests this offseason. And for some of them, you'll get early access to those new videos. And you'll get to see them before the general public. So make sure you guys take full advantage. And just recently, we created the Boy Green Espresso Club. I'm super proud. We have around 20 members to the Boy Green Espresso Club. Thank you to everyone that jumped to that new level. And you get, by the way, if you're a Boy Green Espresso Club member, you get all the Coffee Club perks, and you get some members-only content. I wanted to make custom content for you guys, and we have that. You'll see some members-only shorts where I tell you some funny stories and give you stuff about the family and all kinds of other stuff. We get some intimate conversations. Plus, the creme de la creme of this level, to me, is the members only live stream. Only Espresso Club members are invited to that show that is at the end of every month. And it goes wherever you guys want it to go. Crime, drama, Jets, life, family. We work draft in. Whatever you guys want to talk about is what we get into. Again, the last members only live show, which was the first one we ever did, was at the end of January. That went 4 hours. Good Lord, have mercy. But a lot of fun was had. So our next one is coming up. It's not this upcoming weekend. It's a following weekend. So, folks, take full advantage. Become a Boy Green Espresso Club member before that point. And it's a Saturday night around 8 o'clock. And we're on for as long as you guys are on and talking and chatting it up. So it should be a lot of fun. So, again, make sure you get in on that before that next meeting, that next private club meeting. And plus, if you join the Boy Green Espresso Club, which is $5.99, you automatically get 5 raffle tickets for a contest this month. And every month you remain an Espresso Club member, you automatically get 5 raffle tickets. That's a gift that keeps on giving, Clark. 5 raffle tickets normally is $15 a piece, but you only have to pay $6 a month for the Boy Green Espresso Club. Our way to give back to you and the audience, baby. That's what we're talking about. All right, everybody, let's hit up the phone lines here. We'll do a quick Hep timeout, and your phone calls are welcome next right here on Boy Green Daily.
1, 2, 3. Whoa! Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Everyone, J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go!
Shout out to Hep, baby. The phone lines are open. That's a pin comment on youtube.com/boygreen25 here on the show. We'll welcome those phone calls. I want to answer a bunch of your comments and questions out in the audience. Let's go to our boy, Jake Klein. So Woody Johnson blocked wanting grades to come out. Why is this not being talked about? I would just say this. First off, everyone is pointing at Woody Johnson, but he wasn't the only owner that didn't want these grades out. So everyone wants to blame one guy. Oh, Woody Johnson, he's the villain of this story. He's not the only one that didn't want these grades out. So let's stop trying to force all of the NFL's results on one guy. All right. And number two, to be honest, they won the grievance against the NFLPA. The NFL, won the grievance. Why? Because the way that the NFLPA was doing the grading system, they deemed unfit, that they weren't doing it properly. So that's what I would say about that. Why isn't it being talked about more? What is there to talk about? For me, Woody Johnson is not selling. So Jet fans, you guys can fan however you want to fan. This is how I fan. Okay. I'm not going to come on this show and scream for Woody Johnson to sell the team every day. Personally, I don't like talking about things that I know aren't going to happen. That's why the Aaron Glenn firing thing bothered me so much, or like annoyed me, or like confused me. I don't know what word to use. People still right now are saying fire Aaron Glenn, fire Aaron Glenn, fire Aaron Glenn. It is February 16th, people. At some point, it's not happening. So move on. Jesus. So Woody Johnson's not selling the team. I mean, if you want to keep saying it every day, blessed be he. You have the freedom of speech. You can say it as much as you want. But to me, it's not happening. So I don't want to waste breath talking about it. I want to talk about mock draft. If I'm going to waste breath, and that's how it's perceived, then I want to talk mock drafts. Oh, here's some players the Jets could draft. Here's some, hopefully you guys are learning about prospects, right? That's another, I think, a huge benefit. Some people ask me all the time, Paul, why do you do a mock draft before free agency? That doesn't make any sense. But the free agency is going to change your needs and all this. To me, it's an educational tool. It's an educational tool about learning about prospects. I believe it's an educational tool, learning about situations. Oh, wow. If the Jets took a quarterback first, how would that change the draft? Oh, if they took an edge rusher first, how would that change the draft? And seeing the different combinations of players you can get, to me, I find that interesting. Not everyone does. Again, different strokes, different folks out there in the audience, but that's how I see it. So that's what I sort of rev my engine on. But you guys can rev your engine or whatever you want. It's a free country, and there's a lot of weird fetishes out there. So rev your engine to your heart's desire, baby, as far as I'm concerned. Let's do this. Let's jump over to the phone lines, baby. The phone lines are open. That's youtube.com/boygreen25. We have over 100 people in the room, especially on YouTube. Hit that like button. That's a free way to contribute. It is Hep.
Hey, Paul. That Namath thing is coming on this Sunday on CBS. It's he's going to be talking about his concussions and how it affects his life and that kind of thing.
Man, I imagine it's going to be pretty jarring. Probably is a wrong word, but like whoa, like revealing perhaps for people that don't realize. So I'm glad Joe's doing that.
Yeah, well, we did that hyperbolic chamber thing we were talking about a while back, thinking that maybe that did stem it off for a while because he seemed pretty good, but we don't know what's behind closed doors, what he has to deal with. I look at someone like Wayne Corbett. I mean, he's an undersized guy in the NFL. Imagine me and you playing in the NFL. He's just a little taller than us.
Yeah, and he got his bell. I mean, obviously that's unfortunate why his career ended when it did, but like he got his bell rung a lot. And I think I have somewhere back here in my pile of books. I definitely have a Wayne Corbett book where he probably talked about that in one of the books. I'll have to reread it and go back through it. But oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, it's just to me, it's the unwritten but written. Like to me, I think CTE, and that's scary, and there's been some very scary stories about it. I think when I put on a helmet and I got into the human gladiator sport of American football, I knew that me clashing my head 60 miles an hour against another guy clashing his head 60 miles an hour probably wasn't healthy for the brain, but I enjoy the hell out of the sport, the competitiveness, the camaraderie, the locker room, and all that stuff. And I would do it 1,000 times over. And for me, right, I didn't play in college or the NFL. So obviously the more hits you add on, I imagine the worse it gets. But, I would do it again and again and again. I guess you just have to be a little bit of a psychopath to put that helmet on. And I don't know, football is a special sport that I love so much.
That's always been the thing about football. It's always been a little psycho. But I played football in the 1970s, so for me it wasn't as known about the brain injuries. But I still carry a neck. I had a coach that said, "All right, you go 10 yards this way, you go 10 yards this way. When you come together, hit your heads together like rams, like that."
Oh God, Jesus!
So I did that, and the coach, and then that was the assistant coach, and the head coach goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I think I'm going home.
Yeah. Gee, Lou. Wow.
Yeah. So yesterday was Justin Jett's birthday. He turned 7.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Justin Jets, happy birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah, I went to one of those trampoline things.
Oh, okay.
Those trampoline places.
Yeah, the sky places where you jump all over. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I'm exhausted chasing the 3-year-old around today. Yeah. I'm all sore from chasing him around. But anyway, hey, how would you feel about PE3 playing football though?
I get that question all the time, and again, ultimately, while we're all going to influence, like he has to be a Jets fan, that's non-negotiable. If he and I want him to play football, of course, because I loved football so much. But if I imagine what's going to happen is as PE3 continues to get older, he's going to hear me doing a show talking about it. He's going to see games as he did last season. He's going to be in the living room as I'm screaming and losing my crap. I think you are a product of your environment. I am not a massive hockey guy. I don't think it's rocket science. My dad didn't have hockey on the house, so I watched what he watched. He watched football, and then I'm seeing him get into it. I'm getting into it. So for PE3, I imagine he'll be influenced by me. But if you go through the course of history, right, there's parents that are like dancers, and their kids don't automatically become dancers. So, I hope he does. But to be honest, as I'm going to learn this process, because both of my children are under the age of 5, pursue their dreams, whatever they are. That's a cool thing that I learned from my dad, besides being a freak about football like he was, is that at a certain point he said, I work so hard, my dad saying this to me, that I've worked so hard in my life that I want to give you, son, the opportunity to do whatever the hell you want to do. I don't care what it is, but whatever you're passionate about, I want you to do. So he said, I'm going to work very hard, and then there's going to be moments where I'm going to try to support you, whether it's financially or because when I got out of college, or when I was in college, rather, he let me stay at the house still. I lived in places that were close enough range to do it. Sure. I know some parents charge their kids rent to do all these other things. He allowed me to sort of be in that whatever safe environment of having a place. And then as soon as I got out of college, shortly thereafter, I immediately moved into an apartment, got on with my life. But him supporting me in that moment where I would have just had to get a normal job, I wouldn't have been able to chase this kind of stuff because it wasn't paying the bill. So I couldn't move into an apartment and say, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube show. He allowed the opportunity to even let me try these things. So I hope P3 does play football. That'd be amazing. But if he chooses to be
an artist,
anything, an artist, sure, right. I was just about to say another sport. I'm like, damn it, I'm trying to force feed it. I was just gonna say, if he decides to play basketball, if he decides to do anything on the planet, I just want him to do something he's passionate about. So if it's an artist, if it's a sculptor, if it's an astronaut, he can 100% be it, 100%.
Well, you can make a good living as a kicker in the NFL, so maybe we'll start with that.
Yeah. Where is that? Was that Indy who just said that? Yeah, there he is. Indy Jets says PE3 Jets kicker 2042. Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, kicker. Yeah, sure. Less contact there, kicker. That'd be another way. Love
Thanks,
it.
Paul.
Appreciate it, Hap. Thank you so much. By the way, Boy Green Coffee Club, we are working on something behind the scenes. I have a notebook here with things. I was on a call with another Boy Green Coffee Club member, and there's something massive in the works. Something massive in the works, folks. So I hope you're as excited about this secret thing that I can't tell you about as I am. There's something massive behind the scenes happening here that, quite frankly, will change the very direction and everything. The ethos. I don't even know if I'm describing it properly, but it'll have a massive impact on Boy Green Daily. It's not going away. The show's not going away or anything like that. But what we're working on behind the scenes on this piece of paper, 100% is going to be it's going to be huge for the show. Can't wait. Yo Holmes says BG teach PE3 to punt, kick, and long snap, especially long snap. I feel like that's such a hidden art. Like you go through any level of sport, especially in high school, like you need someone to long snap, and like that's a technique. It's a thing to learn. So I never long snapped, but I would love to get PE3 around someone who can long snap, because hell, look at Thomas Hennessy, man. He's the longest tenured Jet on the team. He's made millions and millions and millions of dollars because he can long snap. I mean, that's pretty freaking good, man. It's pretty freaking good. Speaking of good, baby, look at this. Our number one Austrian Jets fan just entered the octagon with a $10 gold brick super chat.
Wow.
Some raffle tickets for Indy raffles. Get well soon, brother. There you go. A $10 Euro super chat. Let's add that to your total. Indy Jets. We're thinking about him constantly. We love Indy. We love our guy. There's no question about it. He's one of the best in the business. One of my favorites in the Boy Green Coffee Club. An absolute legend. Yes, can confirm. This $10 Euro super chat translates over to 4 normal raffle tickets. So we'll put that on the board here for our buddy Indy. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone, quite frankly, that has sent in raffle tickets for Indy. Those are very meaningful. I can speak for him that he really appreciates these. 27 raffle tickets now for Indy. So thank you, Indy. And thank you, Austrian Jet fan, for sending this along. You continue to be in second place in this contest this month, my friend. So thank you. And thank you guys for all the kind words for Indy. All right, let's answer some more questions and comments here. Let's see. Yo Holmes says, BG, my high school teammate played 15 years in the NFL as a long snapper. Good times. Wow, that's super cool, Yo Holmes. Wow. That's awesome. Again, it is absolutely an art. And if you can learn it, people need to do it at a lot of levels. So, hey, that's a good skill to teach. Again, I'll have him work with I'll have to get with a long snapper here locally and teach him that. That'd be a great trait to have. Indy Jets says, BG telling PE3 to reach for the sky. Amen. I was just thinking about it today because my fiance and children aren't here. They're spending some time with family here locally, and they're going to be gone for a few days. So I have the house to myself, and I just woke up in the morning in an empty bed, and I was just like thinking of my kids and my fiance, but kids specifically in reference to this question of like, damn, man, what are they going to be? One's 4, one's 1. They're going to choose to be, again, whatever it is, a cowboy, an astronaut, something. I don't want to rush the process at all. I want to slow down. I want to do the opposite. I want to slow down time as much as possible. But it's so cool that they're going to be like real people around the world doing something, curing cancer maybe, or doctor. I don't even know. That's pretty cool. Wayne1362 says, take our quarterback at 2, then build the team up. Yeah, there's a case to be made for the tank for Ty guy in our audience that if you believe in Ty Simpson, but you're like, I'm not sure at 2, maybe I could get him at 16, you would feel terrible if you lose out on him. Now, again, the Giants were able to pull off the Abdul Carter early trade back up for Jackson Dart. So you just got to be really good at GMing. You have to have a good pulse of what you think people are going to do, a good pulse of your guy who is interested in said player, and see if you can pull it off. So they could take Ty Simpson at 2. That's possible. We haven't seen that in a lot of mocks, but you could take him at 2. If that's your guy, I would assume so. Field Yates called him the unquestioned number 2 quarterback in this class. You could pursue those waters, but you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to pass on Ty, and he's really great. I think that would be tough. That would be very tough, I would imagine. Dirty Cooch says DJ Lil funked me. Yeah, maybe a hip hop career, perhaps, could get in there. That could be another possibility. Certainly, yes. Let's see. PE3 Jets kicker again. I'm all for that. That's great. Let's go to first_state_Jets as the best way to jumpstart this process to get a difference maker at defensive end and wide receiver. Yeah, there are some key positions on a football team you just want to have on lock in no particular order. Quarterback, offensive tackle, pass rusher, a corner is one for sure. I mean, wide receiver, I'm not sure if it's directly in this group, but wide receivers are super important. You want to open up stuff for Garrett Wilson, unquestionably. And maybe that can come on day 2. That's what Bucky Brooks was explaining on the Move the Sticks podcast. Maybe you can attack defense early and then get your wide receiver of choice. But I'll tell you this, First State Jets, and I said this before. The pass rush is so important for the Jets. I wrote a story about this recently. We'll probably bring this to the airwaves at some point this week, maybe, about the Jets being predicted to sign a Lions pass rusher this offseason and what it can mean. The Jets were 31st in sacks this past season. They had 26 sacks. The only team that's worse is the 49ers with 20, and they were 32nd with 20 sacks. And they lost Nick Bosa, and they lost a lot of their guys, or else the Jets would have been last for sure, because Nick Bosa would have had a lot more than 6 sacks. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that the Jets didn't have any pass rush, and they didn't create turnovers often. They had 0 interceptions. You get pass rush, it leads to takeaways. The quarterback inevitably has to hurry up his process, has to hurry up his delivery because, oh my God, pass rushers are wreaking havoc on me. I got to do something. I got to throw the football. And then you throw it early, and then a Jets quarter makes a play, and bing, boom, bam, it all comes together. So I think pass rush leads to takeaways. So if you're the Jets and you're trying to build this defense, that's why there's a strong conversation. Take your pass rusher at 2, whether you believe that's David Bailey or whether you believe that could be Arvell Reese or what have you. It seems like Arvell Reese is the betting favorite right now. If you believe that's the guy that can be an absolute disruptor, the next Micah Parsons, people say, then that's what you want because that can lead you to hopefully creating a lot of turnovers on the back end of the defense. Back to First State Jets. Saleh and Brick love Clemens. Get them to give up a 2. Well, he is a free agent, so they're not going to franchise tag Michael Clemens, so he will be a straight up free agent. So no way to unfortunately get a draft choice for Michael Clemens if he leaves. Again, it would make a lot of sense if he followed Robert Saleh to Tennessee or perhaps Atlanta Falcons with Michael Clemens, but no draft pick compensation. And also, I feel like I'm going to have to reshare the article I wrote about franchise tags because there's a lot of misinformation out there in the universe. Tomorrow, by the way, is the franchise tag window opening up. We'll talk about it more on the show tomorrow. But starting tomorrow, the Jets could franchise tag Breece Hall. They will have 2 weeks to consider to use it or not to use it. The Shakespearean question, to use the tag or not to use the tag. That will be the question for the Jets. It'll be from February 17th. Tuesday, February 17th, tomorrow, through Tuesday, March 3rd. The Jets will have, and every other NFL team in the league will have a chance to utilize a franchise tag. There are 3 franchise tags you can use: non-exclusive, exclusive, and transition. And each of them have their own sets of rules of how they work. But I saw a lot of misinformation on social media. Jet fans apparently don't know how the franchise tags work. So I highly recommend watching my other episode, or we'll be talking about it on the show tomorrow. We'll go back over those notes because I think a lot of people don't understand how that works, and I have no problem educating the masses on what that means. Indy Jets. Can we talk about the elephant in the room? How much will it take to sign Clemens? I've heard this from a few people, including Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. He believes that Clemens is going to get more money than people think, right? Like Jet fans hate his guts, but he thinks he's going to get more money than you think. Think about this, like Javon Kinlaw. A lot of Jet fans are like, this Javon Kinlaw guy, and he got $45 million in free agency. Now I don't think Clemens getting that, but hey, you never know, man. You never know. For sure. You never know. So I don't know if they bring him back. AG, Aaron Glenn, who's running the defense, seems to like him, so it's possible. It is possible for sure that this could happen. People are on the Sonny Styles train. You'd have to move around the board. NC Green says, I bet Sonny Styles would be the darling at the combine. Totally possible. He's going to look great in a pair of shorts, running around, strength tests, speed tests, cone drills, all of these things. And if you're the Jets, again, we talked about this fantasy football conversation before. If you've ever played fantasy football, maybe this story I'm about to tell will relate to you. If you have the 6th overall pick in fantasy and you're looking at all the mock drafts and all these things, then you see a player you love, you, the person sitting at 6 overall, but that player normally doesn't go till 10 or 11. So here's your choice. You don't take that player at 6 that normally goes to 10 or 11 because you're like, the value, it just doesn't make sense. But if you do that, when you pick next, you are not getting that guy. He will be off the board. So now you have a choice. Do I just say, fuck it, baby, I'm going with that guy at 10 or 11 at 6 because I want him. And I know I won't get him on the other turn. So I have to take him now or never get him. So if you're the Jets, again, I'm not suggesting Sonny Styles at 2. We did that mock simulation with Drew Beatty, but before. But if you are the Jets, you have to play that game of, do I trade back from 2? If you want Sonny Styles, right? Sonny Styles, I imagine, is not really going number 2 overall. But if you really want him, you're like, he ain't going to be there at 16. I could take him at 2. Could I trade back? And then everyone says, well, who's trading up? But maybe, because everyone wants somebody, right? If the draft value chart says if the Jets drop from 2 to 5 with the Giants, they could get a 2nd-round pick and a future 1st-round pick and all this other stuff in a normal year. But in this year, maybe the Jets just tell the Giants, hey, give us your 2nd-round pick and you can come up to 2. We'll take a little less than asking price because we really want to move back. Giants get to move up and get their guy, and the Jets, in theory, pick up an extra asset and then get their player to more appropriate value. Sonny Styles, potentially. Could the Jets explore that possibility? I'm curious if they do sort of swim in those waters. That would be fast. Or Jeremiah Love, which we talked about before. Now, I'll tell you this on the Breece Hall thing. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but if I am the Jets, I'm franchise tagging Breece Hall. I said it before. I'll say it again. You control the controllables. You have plenty of money in cap space. Breece Hall is expected to be the best running back available. And I'm either tagging Breece and keeping him myself, or I'm tagging and trading. It just opens up optionality, quite frankly. So that's what I'm doing if I'm the New York Jets. Tag, you're it, you bastard. Speaking of tag, you're it, Jake Asman, gifting a Boy Green Coffee Club membership of the audience. There you go, Jake. Appreciate you. Jake has been gifting a membership out to the audience. That went to Big Rush -2112. You got that membership from the legendary Jake Adsman here on the channel, baby. Thank you, Jake. We'll add that raffle ticket to your total. Very nice. You have 3 raffle tickets so far this month. Thank you, Jake Adsman. Yeah, so tag your it. That starts tomorrow, folks. Tag your it. That starts tomorrow for the Jets and every other team that has a franchise tag out there in the audience. Yes, absolutely. A lot of love to Jake Asman, for sure. 100% first state Jets. That's where I'm at. Tag Breece, worry about the rest later. Because if you let Breece Hall walk through that door, the Jets have 2 weeks to use the tag. They don't have to use it tomorrow. They have 2 weeks to think about it. But if you let Breece Hall walk out that door, don't place any tag on him. You're not getting buckets. You're not getting a comp pick. You're not getting nothing. He's walking out that door, and you're going to spend your $80, $70 million on free agents. And again, you get a comp pick based on the free agent money you spend and the free agents you lose, and beep, boop, bop, the equation. We had Nick Corte on the show a couple weeks back, and he explained it. you have 3 tags. Let's explain them again. I think it's worth going back through. Okay. The non-exclusive tag means that Brees Hall could go seek an offer sheet from another team. Hey, go talk to anyone you want. And let's say, I'm going to make this up, the Ravens. Say, you know what? We want to sign that Brees Hall guy. We'll sign him to a 4-year deal for $50 million. Okay. The Jets would have a few days to choose, do we want to match this or not on a non-exclusive tag? If they match the deal, then they get Brees for the contract he would have signed with the Ravens, but they now have Brees Hall under that contract. If they chose not to match, the Jets would receive 2 first-round picks, and the Ravens would get Brees Hall. Now, obviously, no team in the NFL is going to give up 2 first-round picks for Brees Hall. Obviously, a team would give up a 3rd-round pick for Brees Hall. They're certainly not giving up 2 firsts. The non-exclusive tag is the most expensive franchise tag there is. So the Jets don't want to pay more than they have to, and no team is going to give up 2 first-round picks. So the non-exclusive franchise tag makes no sense. So the Jets won't use that one. So let's grab that tag and throw it in the ocean. I'd be flabbergasted if the Jets use that option. That makes no sense. So now we're down to 2 tag options, okay? The exclusive and the transition. And there is a big difference between the two. Exclusive franchise tag, Brees Hall can't talk to no one. He is tagged and you're out. You can't talk to any teams, can't negotiate with any teams. You are a New York Jet. There's nothing you can do about it. And what the Jets, this is about control, what the Jets could decide to do is say, okay, we're going to use this as a placeholder to negotiate a long-term deal potentially with Brees Hall. They would have until July to do so. That could be. They could force Brees Hall to play on the tag this year, which is just around $14.5 million. Or the Jets could tag and trade Brees Hall. They could tag him with the exclusive tag and then go to the Chiefs and say, hey, Chiefs, we want a 3rd-round pick. Remember us from a couple months ago? We want a 3rd-round pick, baby, for this. So are you game? And they're like, fine, we'll give you that 3rd. And then the Jets will say, all right, here's Brees Hall's number. You guys can talk and work out the long-term extension, and then we'll announce the tag and trade. Jets get a 3rd-round pick. Chiefs get Brees Hall. And then Brees Hall immediately, as part of the deal, signs a long-term extension. The Jets could do that. So that's the exclusive tag. What I believe is going to happen is the Jets are going to exclusive tag Brees Hall. And let's talk about the 3rd option, the transition. I don't think the Jets are going to go down this water. I don't. But I've heard a few other people in the audience, in terms of beat reporters and media members, think they will. So maybe we'll see. The 3rd and final option is the transition tag. Now, the transition tag is cheaper, right? I mentioned the franchise tag. Let's go to the exclusive one, which is what I think they're going to use. It's going to be $14.53 million. That's how much the exclusive tag is, okay? Transition tag is $11.5 million. That's $3 million less. NFL teams are cheap. Why wouldn't they want to pay $3 million less? Here's the problem with the transition tag. If the Jets transition tag Brees Hall, it is a cheaper tag, which is true. But now Brees Hall can negotiate with all those teams. It's sort of similar to the non-exclusive. He can immediately go to the marketplace. Him and his agent can start talking to every team in the universe. And let's use the Ravens again as an example. And Brees Hall meets up with the Ravens, say, hey, 4-year deal, $50 million. Brees Hall's cool with it. Ravens are cool with it. If Brees Hall signs that offer sheet, and the Ravens sign him to that offer sheet, the Jets will have a few days to match. If they match, Brees Hall is a Jet on that contract he would have signed with the Ravens. If the Jets don't match, Brees Hall walks out the door and the Jets get nothing. Zip and pip. You get nothing, sir. Nada. Zero. Zip. You get guaranteed no comp pick. Okay? If the Jets let Brees Hall walk out the door in free agency, there's a chance they could get a comp pick. And it wouldn't be this year, it'd be next year. Now, that's very unlikely because, again, the Jets are going to spend a lot of money this offseason. HG's feeling the heat on his ass. Of course they're going to spend a lot of money. It'd be crazy if they didn't. They just sat on their hands and did nothing. So while there's a faint possibility the Jets could get a comp pick, probably not, but there is at least still a chance. If the Jets transition tag Brees and then someone offers a contract, the Jets are like, fuck that, I'm not paying that. Then he leaves and you get nothing if you're the Jets. Why in God's green earth would you do that if you're the Jets? So the tag that makes the most sense to me is the exclusive franchise tag. Non-exclusive makes no sense. No team's giving up 2 first-round picks, and why pay more than you have to? Let's throw that one aside. Transition tag, to me, makes no sense. You transition tag him, and someone creatively offers him a big contract that you're not willing to, and you let him walk out the door and get nothing, you look like an idiot, especially because apparently you could have had a 4th-round pick from the Chiefs. So the tag that makes most sense to me is exclusive. Exclusive. You tag his ass, and options emerge. Keep him on the tag. Extend him. Trade him. But if you don't do that, I agree with Rich. Rich told this to, speaking of Jake Asman, Rich Cimini told this to Jake Asman on Super Bowl Sunday with him and former NFL general manager Mike Tannenbaum on New York Game Day. He says if Breece, this is Rich Cimini saying this, if Breece Hall makes it to the open market, he ain't coming back. And I agree. He ain't coming back. He's off to the prairie. He's off for an 80-yard touchdown. See ya. Whoop. Deuces. I ain't coming back, Jets. I'm going to some other team. I'm getting paid buco bucks. I'm going to some team that wins all the time. I am out of here. And if I'm the Jets, fuck that. I'm not letting that happen. Hell no. Hell no. Absolutely not. We have plenty of money. Why the hell wouldn't we tag Breece Hall? People could feel however they want to feel about Breece Hall. Why in God's green earth would I just let him walk out the door? Heck no. I don't think so. Tag him and trade him if you don't want him, if you really don't want him, but maximize your resources. Tag him and trade him. You'll be able to trade him somewhere for sure. Totally. Now, will the Jets get the same value? Will they get a 3rd? Will they get a 4th? I don't know, but test out the marketplace and see. You'll at least be able to trade him for like a 7th. I don't think you're going to have to. I think you'll get better than a 7th, but at the very least, you could trade him to a team for a 7th. You're going to get something, but if you let him walk as free agent, you get nothing. So that's what I would say. Anywho, I went on that whole Breece Hall tag rant. I'm sorry I got so aggressive there. Yeah. Taylor Sterling, exactly. Yeah, and Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks talked about this yesterday. I posted the clip on social media. Daniel Jeremiah says if he was running the Jets, he would tag Breece Hall. And I agree for all the reasons I just explained. Bucky Brooks is like, well, I'm not sure how excited Breece Hall would be. And Daniel Jeremiah jumps in and says, yeah, I don't think he'd be excited at all, but he doesn't have a choice. He does not. I don't give a shit if he wants out. Who cares? Sorry, pal. We've got the franchise tag. We as an NFL team have a way to prevent you from reaching free agency. I don't give a shit what you want. And if he's going to be a malcontent, then you just guarantee trade him. You can do whatever you want, but you got to do what's best for the team. I'm going all draft day. I'm going Kevin Costner here. I'm going to do what's best for the team. That's what you do. If what's best for the team is you tag Breece Hall and force him to play in 2026 on the tag, so be it. If it's best for the team that you can use that to negotiate a long-term deal with Breece, great. If it's best for the team that you tag and trade his ass to the Chiefs, blessed be he. But I'm not letting him walk out the door. If the Jets do that, that is silly. And Daniel Jeremiah said that there's no better player in free agency than Breece Hall. There's no better player in the draft than Breece Hall, as much as I love Jeremiah Love. Of that guaranteed, and are the Jets even taking Jeremiah Love at 2? And will he be available at 16? So, like, with their assets they have available, would they even do it? So that's why I don't give a crap if Breece Hall wants out. That's not affecting me one iota. Absolutely not. Alon saying holding Hall hostage is hilarious. Oh, dear Lord. Hostage. When the Jets do it, it's holding him hostage. But when every other team in the history of mankind uses a franchise tag, come on, Alon. Get the hell out of here. It's holding them hostage. It is a tool that NFL teams can use. And quite frankly should use. That is their right to use it. I don't want to hear all this crying and violins. They're holding him hostage. The Jets are holding the beautiful princess in the tower. Suck it, okay? Have a cup of suck and drink it. Suck it. Screw you. The Jets should do what they need to do. Come on now. 100%. First State Jets again, making a lot of appearances here on Boy Green Daily. Appreciate you. NFL made the tag on purpose because they don't want players to be able to force their way out. No team's giving up 2-1s in a contract. It's a poison pill. In a way, again, there's 3 different tags. The only way that one happens is not exclusive, which, again, I don't anticipate the Jets are using. The one I believe they will use is exclusive. That will hold his rights, and the Jets hold the cards. Now you have to pay $14.5 million. And as soon as you choose to tag Brees, so if they tagged him tomorrow, $14.5 million is presto, immediately off the books. So if the Jets have $70 million right now, all of a sudden they've got $56 million. Presto, immediately when you tag him, whether he signs it or not, it's off your books, which a lot of NFL teams don't like lighting money on fire instantly. They like having full control. So that's the negative, if you want to perceive it that way for the team, is that money is not available to use. But when you're the bleeping Jets and you have the fourth most cap space in the league, you've got the room to use it. And there are so many people calling this show every day saying, I don't know if free agents are going to want to come here. So if that's true, and you believe that's true, then why wouldn't you tag Brees Hall? You can guarantee he's here. If you believe the Jets are going to struggle to bring free agents in, why wouldn't you keep Brees Hall? Because you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the assets in the world, but if they don't want to come here, it doesn't mean bupkis. It doesn't mean crap. You could have $70 million and then your ship could hit hit a glacier and boom, it could go down. So, oh yes. I will be fascinated to see how this works moving forward. Alon says Jets should have avoided this obvious headache. I don't think it's an obvious headache. It's a talking point among fans. I don't think this is a headache. We will see if it's a headache if they tag him and then they go to the marketplace and people are like, we ain't trading for Brees Hall. If that happens, that would be a tough pickle. That's where it turns into a headache. But right now, it's not a headache. Who cares? Who cares? Not a headache at all. No. Lou B says they should have taken the fourth. Let's see what happens. If they trade him for a third, are you guys going to change your script? I will. I'll be like, oh, I'm not going to change my script. I'm going to say the same things. Say the same things I'm saying now. If they flip him for a third in a week or two, Darren Mooney is going to look pretty smart. He got his number. Yeah. Let's go to the Macho Man. He says, I say we tag Brees. We have too many holes to worry about adding another one. We need to add, not subtract. True. Or we need to subtract, not add, or vice versa, whatever it is, right? Because the Jets have a million needs. Let's go around the roster. They have a need at left guard. They got to figure out the John Simpson ABT thing. They have a potential need at center to upgrade Josh Myers. They have a need at wide receiver. They have quarterback, obviously. They have defensive tackle. They have defensive end. They have off-ball linebacker. They have safety. They have corner. They have kicker if Nick Folk doesn't come back. That's 10 needs off the top of my head. And then, oh, yeah, we didn't tag Brees Hall. Well, 11, because Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, as much as we as fans talk them up, like, that's not a guarantee. Brees Hall, who? Yeah, these guys will be fine. I'm not so sure, man. I'm not so sure at all. If that's just hunky-dory bullshit happening here. I'm not sure if that's just they'll be fine. The Jets obviously would need to add more in that room to be able to fill that void, personally. By the way, we're a few subscribers away from 8,380. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, hit the like button. We have 130 people watching on YouTube, which I appreciate out there in the audience. Keep your questions flowing in the comment section. I'll answer a few more before we get out of here. 60 likes, but 130 people in the room. Come on, bump up those likes, people. Let's go. That's a free way to contribute to the program. I'd appreciate you. All right, let's keep answering some of your questions. Green Fiend NYJ says we need just about every position on defense. Yeah, let me is there a position we don't need on defense? Defensive end, defensive tackle, off-ball linebacker, safety guard. Yeah, they're literally everything we need. Because even the guys you like Jawan Briggs, that doesn't solve defensive tackle. I like Jawan Briggs. Even pass rusher, I like Will McDonald. I like Jermaine Johnson, but like that, we were freaking 31st in sacks. We need more pass rush. That's clearly not enough. So 100%, we need a pass rush. So the pass rush on the off-ball linebacker, Quincy Williams, exit stage left. He gone. Jamie Sherwood, he wasn't great. So you need linebacker. Corners, again, we talked about it throughout the show. 100%. Safety, oh, dear Lord. Malachi Moore, I hope, is something, but everyone else, oh, boy. Harrison Phillips, throw him in the mix, of course. That makes you feel a little bit better, but like, oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, the defense needs a lot of TLC. There's no question about it. Absolutely needs a lot of TLC. Some tender love and care. NC Green says, BG, wouldn't it be easier to cite what we don't need? Even tight end, right? Like I like Mason Taylor's a top 50 pick. Jeremy Ruckert is a fine, solid, rotational guy. He's not going to the Pro Bowl or anything, but he's just a solid guy there in Ruckert. But you could probably use a dynamic pass catcher to be again, if they go Isaiah Likely, if Kyle Pitts reaches free agency, if you get like a dynamic receiver, that would be a wonderful addition to the room. More weapons, man, offensively. You could make that, but yes, it may be easier. It would be easier to list perhaps the needs that we don't have, quite frankly. All right, let's jump back to the phone lines. We have the Boyd Grin Espresso Club member, Troy Sturgis, baby, here. What's up, Troy? Good morning.
Hey, BG, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man?
Just listening to your earlier guests talk about corners.
Yeah.
It kind of really depends on what type of system we're going to go to.
Sure.
Don't you think? I mean,
yeah,
we really need to grade the corners on what they do and then pick the one as far as like if we're going to press coverage, then we need a good press corner.
Right.
Or if we run a lot of zone, apparently we need to find one that run heavy zone in college.
Right.
And
yeah, we definitely
you might rank one higher than the other, but depending on your scheme, I'd say that would be a different type of fit for you than maybe someone else. So.
Absolutely, which the Jets know we don't, right? We've speculated, are they going 3-4-4-3? Oh, are they doing this or this? Again, Aaron Glenn knows the answers to those questions. It'll be interesting to see when he speaks in a week and a half at the Combine. Does he give us those answers? Yes, we're running this. Yes, we're running this. That will help us in the content creator world. Oh, wow, they're looking for man corners. Let's start studying these. Oh, wow, they're looking for zone corners. All right, let's start studying these. Yeah, hopefully we get some answers to the test coming up here shortly.
And do you think that I think that we may be surprised at some of the players that we keep.
Like who? What do you mean?
Well, Quincy Williams. And we all seem to think he's gone. I mean, depending on the scheme, he may fit a better scheme that we change into.
That's possible. That's true. Yeah. I by the way, and I will get more emotional about this when he officially leaves if he does, but Quincy, what a story, man. People remembered him as just Quinton Williams' brother when he got brought here. And I'm sure how he was in the league because Quincy came in as a third-round pick and Quinton Williams came in as the third overall pick. So I love Quincy a lot. He's a hard hitter. Like, I love his mentality. I hope we get a scheme that brings him back. It sounds like, how things ended. It may not be that way, but I hope so. I like Quincy a lot.
He's a firecracker, I think. I mean,
100%.
He's just full of fire. Full of go. Everywhere he goes, he's on top of everything. I mean, I think the scheme that they ran this year, he is out of place a lot, and apparently in trouble a lot with being benched, well, so-called benched.
Yeah. He had some choppy waters with the coaching staff. Now, some of the people he had issues with are gone. Apparently, Aaron Curry was the linebackers coach. He apparently had some bad rubs with him, and some other members of the coaching staff that aren't here. So maybe, but we'll see. My gut tells me he's gone, to be honest. But like, if we're going in the theme of what you're saying, like Michael Clemens to me would be a surprise bringback. All Jet fans seemingly hate his guts for the most part, but AG loves him. So if he came back, I think that may be surprising to generally fans. That could be one, but I'd have to go back through the list and see who else could be like a surprising return.
Yeah. He almost fits that JFM style if he can play to that potential.
Yeah, you're right. Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
But
yeah.
Anyway, hey, good to see you. Good to talk to you for a minute. Gotta go. I'm at work.
All right. I appreciate it. There he is. Troy Sturgis, baby. Again, a loyal member to the Boyd Grin Espresso Club. Thanks for chiming in for a few minutes. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. That is a good point, too, from NC Green. Sometimes it's tough to judge players on a losing team. It is. Winning, it's easy. Well, when you're winning, it's easy. I wouldn't know because the Jets haven't done a lot of winning. But when it's winning, everything's good. I'm not criticizing nobody. Oh, wow. Woo. Everything's working. We're winning. It's the perfect antidote to any problem. Anyone has an issue out there? We're winning. Victories, winning streaks, playoffs, Super Bowl. It's all hunky-dory. It's all great. But when it's losing, You start getting effort issues. You get people questioning all these different things and all of that. I mean, it just, there's a free fall element there for sure. Yeah. Let me answer a few more questions, then we'll wrap up. We'll be back live in 2 hours and change. I'll be live at 11 o'clock. We also, it's not officially official yet, but we got a huge interview cooking on the MC Show digital channel today. Got a huge interview cooking. We'll see if I get that confirmation here shortly. That would be great. I'll answer a few more questions, and hopefully we have that. That will come after our live show, so more to come potentially on that. I agree here with M123XYZ. I'm so sick of defense. Can we score points ever? I would love, someone just brought up that, like, for the 10th year in a row or something, the Jets finished with a bottom 10 scoring offense. Give me some friggin' offense for the love of God. Please. Points. Wide receivers. Tight ends. Running back. A quarterback. To throw something. Like, when we get a quarterback, it's going to happen before I'm dead. I'm sure of it. When we get a quarterback and we're scoring 30 points a game and other teams are like, yeah, that's just what we do. We're going to be like, holy shit. Wow. We're scoring 30 points a game. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Look at this. Touchdowns. Like, we sort of sarcastically clap when we get a first down. Like, hey, all right. Not bad. All right. And other teams like, yeah, first downs, they sort of happen. Yeah, maybe automatically for you, but for us, oh my goodness, everything that we get is like a surprise, this or that. Oh my God, yes. M123XYZ. Easy as ABC, 1, 2, 3. I hope we start scoring some points, buddy boy. I love it. Please, for the love of God, that'd be exciting. That'd be great. If only. Yeah, we'll see when that happens. Hopefully sooner rather than later, that's for sure. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Hey, it's DNY for Life. Devin here on the program, baby. Happy Monday, sir.
Happy Monday, my boy. Hey, man. Hey, you are spitting fire this morning. I was just listening. I'm like, man, I got to shout out to BG. Like, I'm glad you did. I hope you had a happy Valentine's Day, brother.
Oh, I did. Oh, it was magnificent. I still got some of this.
About you, right?
I got like a Reese's, shout out to my fiance. She gave me this Reese's chocolate heart thing. I don't normally eat candy a lot, but thank you very much. I'm halfway through that. So some nice sweet treats. So yes, it was wonderful. Yes.
That's what's up, brother. That's what's up. Hey, man, I'm glad to hear this passion coming out of you, man, because you a lot of times you're a lot calmer and you process stuff well, and that's cool. But I love this passion out of you, bro, because you're right. You know what I mean? Like, again, I don't understand my dude Alon. How are you gonna say calling him hostage? Like, Le'Veon Bell, like, does that ring a bell?
Like, come on.
Come on,
like,
bro.
Breece Hall is 24 years old. Like, if the Jets just let him walk out the door for nothing, they're nuts. They're crazy. Right. And then what? You see Breece Hall with Patrick Mahomes scoring 80-yard touchdowns, and then all those jokes on the broadcast. Oh, that guy, he got away from the Jets. Like, tag him. Force another team to pay the iron price. Someone's going to pay it. I don't know if it's a third. I don't know if it's a second, if it's a fourth, if it's a something, but that's something we don't currently have. Maximize your assets. If you want to tag him and keep him, so be it. You want to tag him, sign him to a long-term deal, fine. But at least tag him. If I see him walk out of that fucking door 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be fucking pissed. I'm going to be like, what the?
Yeah, bro.
You didn't take the 4th, the deadline. So let me get this straight. You weren't willing to take the 4, and you knew that the deadline was about to close, and yet you knew you weren't going to tag him despite having a bunch of money? That's nuts. That doesn't make any sense.
That's going to be the first horrible move that Darren Muji's made since in his tenure. And I agree with you 100%. You know, he's our best asset. You know what I mean? Sure. Like I said before, if you don't want to be here, that's fine. But we're not just going to let you walk out the door. And man, if he goes to Kansas City, you know who I see? I've always envisioned Breece Hall this way. Brian Westbrook.
Ooh,
and I'm sure that freaking Andy Reid sees the same thing. Brian Westbrook was a menace out the backfield. You know, he wasn't exactly a power runner, but he could he could run in the middle a little bit. But I see him using him like a Westbrook to a T, which then makes Patrick Mahomes even more dangerous. So I totally see the Chiefs wanting to scoop him up, man. Like, so I see what you're thinking. I know you're watching this show, Andy Reid. We see you. Us Jets fans are not fooled by you, brother. We are watching. But yeah, man,
100%.
you are so right, man. He's the best asset we got. And like as far as needs are concerned, man, I think yesterday, you guys were talking about like let's revamp one side of the ball versus another.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's a great idea, but I'm also thinking like, all right, let's see what we're gonna achieve in free agency, because I think like there are a number of players out there. It's really shitty though, man. The years, I feel like all the years that we have like really good high draft pick, like except for like the Sam Darnold year, it's not really exciting for us. Like, you know what I mean? There's not like a whole bunch of players like the Jamar Chase year. You could choose from this litter and that litter, and it's like so many players that you could choose from. But then we got two first round picks, and it's like, the first one we could get someone really good, but then the second pick is like, you might stretch a little bit, but it sucks for us, man. That sucks for us. But we gotta do what we gotta do, man. And I think again, we just gotta look and see what we get done in free agency. I'm excited about this. What is when exactly? I want to ask you that as well. I pretty obviously I could Google it, but when is the draft? The combine? When is the combine? When does that start?
Yeah. Combine is a week. Well, see, this is where we get funky. So the combine's a week from today. There's like report day. So you have a few days of reporting and bullshit media stuff before they get into the actual drills, which is later in the week. So the official combine start day with players actually working out on the field is the 26th of February. So that's not this Thursday. It's next Thursday. The Thursday after is when drills start, and then drills are Thursday through Monday normally of all the positions coming through. But yeah, a week from today, they'll start. Players will be arriving, media will be arriving. We'll start hearing rumors and stories and stuff like that.
And I've been looking at a little bit of tape. I know we're going to take a more consensus is like we're going to take a defensive player in the first with our second pick, right?
Probably, the second overall pick. Yeah.
Right, man. I've listened to all the breakdowns. I went back and did. I'm not no tape studier, so I'm not going to profess to do that. But you know what I mean. I watch highlights and stuff like that. The Bailey, his lower body, man, like he don't seem to have that power that I think he needs to have at that edge, and he just reminds me a lot of Will McDonald. Like that's just. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm getting the same thing. You know what I mean? Like maybe a slightly better version, raw coming out of college, and then you develop him. But I'm really feeling like we're going to miss the boat if we don't just go get Ruben Bain. Because I feel like we could put him on the edge and like on a third down setting, move him inside, put Will on the outside. And that's a nice little package right there. You know what I mean? Jermaine on the other side and breaks coming too. Like, I think we could do something with that. But I just kind of – and if we go with R.L. Reese, I'm good with that too, because that kid, like 20 years old to be as ridiculous as he is, like he is – I was watching his punch, and he is like, good Lord, that man is strong. 20 years old, and he's not even coming to his grown man strength yet. He's still in his young man strength. So when he gets into
the thing that excites me,
dangerous.
Yeah, I just heard Field Yates was talking about this. They do this new ESPN NFL Draft Daily show, and he told somebody, Field Yates, about Arvell Reese, that there's not many players in this draft that he feels so safe about Arvell Reese. To us, we're like, edge rusher, linebacker, he's all these different things, which seems like a bust kind of player. Boom bust kind of thing. Field Yates says no. He thinks that Arvell Reese, at a minimum, is going to be a really good player forever. But he thinks on top of that, he has a chance to be that. And when I hear that, that sounds exciting. We need at least good players. And if we have a Micah Parsons type that these people think he could be, then excellent. Awesome. That seems like the guy. So right now, if a gun was to my head, the favorite seems to be Arvell Reese. And I'm getting more and more excited about it the more I hear people talking about it.
What makes me more excited about that as well is that, we've had talent in the past, but had not developed them. And I feel like we now have a defensive line coach that will be able to develop the crap out of our talent. And I feel like that's going to also elevate Will, which is another reason I don't really want Bailey, because I want to see, we got his 5th-year option. Like, I want to see what we can, with some good tutelage, actually good coaching, how he can actually develop. And I think he can transcend, Like, I think Will is going to be 26 this year or something like that, or is he 26 now?
Yeah, because he had a weird journey here. So what is Will McDonald? He is 26 right now. He'll be 27 actually in June.
Okay. So now he
But
is coming into his
Dunbar,
real man strength.
Coral Dunbar's a freaking great coach, and he's going to get
Right.
his hands on Will. He's going to get his hands on Jermaine, potentially Arvell Reese coming in, Jawan Briggs, Harrison Phillips. Like, with a really good coach, maybe he could take this unit from this to this automatically, let alone the team that's going to come in.
Agreed, brother. Agreed, man. Man, but I just wanted to hop on here. I got thank God I had the day off today, so that's awesome.
Nice.
I got to, get on the show. But bruh, I love this fire out of you, bruh. I love it, man. Appreciate your energy. Yeah. This early in the morning is a great way to wake up, and it just brought a smile to my face. So I just had to call in. A shout out to Indy as well. You know what I'm saying? Indy, I'm thinking about you, brother, man. And I hope, hopefully you continue to do well. And all to the coffee club members and all everybody like that. Shout out to Chef. Yeah, I'm still Rob Sean, Chef. I know you listening. I know you back there cooking up some delicious shit back there. But you know what, Chef? I'm still holding on to the rope. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I'm gonna keep that Fields jersey. I might burn it one day, but I'm gonna keep it for now.
That's the way. Love you, Devin.
All right, brother.
All right, there he is. DNY for life. My man. Love Devin. Love him calling into the show. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here. Another passionate New York Jets fan, baby. He brought up Chef Kevin Gilbert and the yin to the yang that made one of the greatest tailgates of all time. Lou B, Super Jets fan, joins the octagon. Oh, wow, your hat matches your ceiling there. That's very nice.
This is driving me crazy with the Brees stuff because we all know he's a great player when he wants to be.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The most important thing is the locker room, right? You could have all the greatest players in the world. If they're all complaining and upset, it doesn't matter. They're just miserable. Phillips was not talking about the air. Phillips was talking about something, all right?
Okay. And you think that something's Brees?
He's one of the people there. Now, Garrett Wilson is a different version of that. He gets upset in the locker room because he wants to win. He basically is acting as like, it's his team, right?
Sure.
Brees knows that he could stay, he could leave. They didn't really give him a contract. Do they really want him here? Are they going to trade him? So his mind he's a very sensitive guy, as you can see. And he was tweeting all day long and posting at the trade deadline.
Right.
You don't do that unless you're thinking something, right? So with that in mind, and I've heard from so many people that doesn't want to be here, and we could keep on going back and forth about that, but that's not the issue. The issue is everyone says we should have took the fourth, and I think so too. But the most important thing is for our GM is that people don't call his bluff. He's playing poker with some of the most vicious businessmen in the country, right? Or the world, basically. So when they negotiate with him, they can't just think that he just gives in. Oh, this is okay, just take it. So I would rather take nothing, zero, no picks, get nothing for Brees, and people know that our GM, when you trade with him, he's serious. He's not just going to give in to you, because that can come back in the future and score us a monster deal. Maybe our GM can get a big deal. Oh, wait a second. He already did. He got us 2 deals. We should really trust in him and trust that even if we get nothing, nobody will call his bluff the next time. That's business.
Yeah, but why not? Because Darren Ridge could do the things you're saying, but he would look like a genius if he's able to tag Brees and trade him for a third, and he says to the universe, I told you I wanted a third, and I got a third. And that's the ultimate flex. I've got a price, and I got my price, and I knew I could get my price. So if he's able to tag it,
that's part of what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, right. But the locker, like for instance, if there's any locker room problems with Brees, the good news is that locker room ain't meeting for 2.5 months. So he would have a chance to tag him and trade him before he causes any damage to the locker room if there's any perception of that. So that's what I'm saying. Tag and trade his ass. There's going to be, I think, plenty of teams interested. All these rankings say Brees Hall's the best running back that's going to be available in free agency. So, create a bidding war, get a couple of teams going at it, and at least, hopefully, at the very least, you want to come away with the fourth that you could have had. If you get anything less than the fourth, that looks bad. If you get at least a fourth, it looks good. If you get more than the fourth, you look like a genius.
Look, it looks bad, but it doesn't look bad when you're negotiating on the other line at next trade.
Well, that's true.
And people know that you don't bluff. People have to know that he doesn't bluff. This is just how it is, right? If you want to really negotiate, when you're negotiating the stakes with high businessmen, I book talent, right? So I'm booking DJs.
Yeah.
I'm offering prices. I'm offering like if you don't know how to negotiate, you get eaten up alive. I've been doing it for 30 years, negotiating with like agents and talent buyers on a different world in a different universe. But I think that if we get what he wanted, great. If we don't, the bottom line is he has to be serious during negotiations. He's negotiating for us. He obviously we stack the chips in this draft that's coming, and I just think it's an art, and he's doing what he has to do. As far as Brees, he could be like, say, okay, guys, I know you're going to tag me and trade me. These are the teams I'd like to make it happen with, and they probably could say, look, Brees, we're going to try to make it happen for you. We know you want to go to Kansas. We know you want to go to this wherever he wants to go, but he wants to go to a winning team, because at a winning team, Brees can't affect them. Brees can't like rip up their locker room. He'll go there and he'll be a great player, and he'll be great wherever he goes. But he's just not going to be great here unless we're winning. And if one game goes bad where he doesn't get a screen or something like that, he's going to go right back to old Brees, and we cannot have that anymore. We got to get out of that. We have to or we're not going anywhere. That's it for my rant, BG.
You're the best, Lou B. Appreciate you, brother.
Love you.
Love you too, pal. Yeah, again, to me, I think the most important thing here is maximizing your assets, whatever those happen to be. The Jets have the fourth most cap space in the league. They've got a franchise tag at their disposal. They have a way to prevent Brees Hall from reaching the open market, and they should use that ability to do so. And then all options are on the table. Again, I'm repeating myself now, but you keep him for short term, you keep him for long term, you tag and trade him to the highest bidder, and hopefully at least you get the line in the sand of what you could have gotten last year, or in this case, a couple of months ago, or better. And then you're flexing on him. If you're Muji, you're like, sweet, I traded Brees for a 3. Wow, I traded Brees for a 2, or whatever happens. That would look pretty good if you are Mooch. We'll see if he's able to do that. All right, let's go to the next phone call. Mr. Famous Fulton joins us.
Morning, Paul.
Yeah, top of the morning to you, sir.
I sent you an email yesterday.
Okay.
My new
I'll have to review that
basketball
after the show.
Yep.
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah. So we played on second game and we won 29-26.
Oh, congratulations.
And I know I said before yesterday, I didn't look at the ball. I made the shot. 2 shots in one day.
Nice. Good for you. Congratulations, man.
Yep. Thank you. Made a lot of rebounds, a lot of passes, a lot of defense.
Okay. Any blocks?
I made a couple of blocks.
Okay. Some steals?
Yep. Made a lot of steals as well.
Okay. Nice. Good. It sounds like you were the MVP of the team.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Wow.
Yep. So we got another game coming up this Saturday. So at 2 o'clock for the halftime, and then we'll be done at 3.
Okay, cool. Wow, awesome. Well, Mr. Famous Fulton, I'm not surprised by your talents and success on the hardwood. That shouldn't be surprising to anyone in the universe. So, wow, great work, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a good turnout. So, and we had our first game. We got beat like 41-11 against Delaware County. And they were pretty tough on us. So
seems like it. Wow. Good Lord.
Yep. So it was a good time, and we stayed there for at least 4:30. So
wow, that's a lot of hours. Well, hopefully, as long as you had fun with your teammates. Again, that's the thing. People ask me, not very often, but if anyone did ask me about my old football days, the thing I miss most is the chemistry, the camaraderie in the locker room, the celebrations of wins, losses. We did 2-a-days back in the day, and we'd get dropped off at 6 in the morning, and then we'd leave at 6 at night, and just putting on the pads and battling teammates, all that other stuff. I miss that for the rest of my life. So that's it. It's that special stuff with your teammates.
Yeah, with the basketball and everything. So
right. So that's awesome. Well, Mr. Famous Fulton, congratulations on all the success, buddy, and I appreciate that you shared it here on the show.
Oh, Paul, I forgot to get the The tracking number. I forgot
Yes,
about that.
yes. I will email you back that today.
Okay, yeah, I've been waiting patiently, so.
Excellent. Good work. And again, that package should be there here in the near future. Okay, Mr. Famous Fulton?
Okay, great. Thanks, Paul.
There he is, Mr. Famous Fulton, here on the program. Well, everybody, that was a very passionate show. A lot of fun was had. So thank you to Austrian for your gifted raffle tickets for Indy. Shout out to Jake Asman for the gifted membership as well. And thank you to the 130 people that are in the room right now, including over 100 on YouTube. Again, guys, 2 reminders. First off, it is free to like the video. That's how this Jet show gets in front of other Jet fans out in the audience. Jet fans that may just be searching around on YouTube trying to find a show. Please, if you can, hit that like button. We have 80 likes, but over 100 people in the room. So help us get over the 100 like barrier. That'd be great. And we're only a handful of subscribers away from 8,380. So hit that subscribe button. That's also free to do here on the channel. We've got a lot of fun guests coming. Speaking of, we'll be back live in 2 hours. We're back live at 11 o'clock, talking all things NFL and Jets, of course. And like I said, I'll have to finalize the time after this show, but we should have a very special guest, which may have some Jet connections. We'll talk about that. That interview should be dropping a little bit later today on the MC Show digital channel as well. So big things popping, little things stopping, baby. Appreciate everybody for joining us, and we'll be back coming up at 11 o'clock. And again, shout out to Drew Beatty, our NFL draft analyst, for joining us. And yes, FZA to God 36, JETS, Jets, baby. Love you guys. I love this community, and we're in this together. We'll be back again in 2 hours for a live show talking NFL and Jets and some other guests. And we'll be back for another episode of Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning at 7:30. Thanks, everybody, and take care.